Hello everyone! You know what time it is, right? It's time to talk about what else I saw in October. You already know the bulk of what I saw in October, I think, based on all those videos that I did. I saw a lot of Universal Monster movies. Because I spent so much time watching those movies, working on the reviews, editing them, I didn't really have much time for watching other movies, so it's a shorter list this month, but that's how it goes. Let's get started, shall we, with the war movies. Of course I had time to watch World War II movies. The first war movie is Operation Crossbow from 1965. This is the movie that I was referring to in my recent review of the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. There's a page in that book about Germany's use of V-1 rockets, or pilotless bombs, or doodlebugs as the British called them, to attack England. This movie is about the development of those bombs on the German side and an Allied attempt to send spies in to halt the production of the V-2 rocket, which was more dangerous. The movie's a good spy thriller, definitely an emphasis on action, but the devastation of those rockets on London homes isn't glossed over either. It's an exciting plot with a lot of twists and turns, but there's some truth behind it, more than I realized when I was watching it. It has a lot of big names, too, in true 60s war movie fashion. George Peppard is the star, and he's fine, except I don't think his German accent was very convincing, which wouldn't be a problem, except that one reason his character is chosen for this mission is because of his flawless German. Wisely, though, the movie doesn't let us hear Peppard speak German until the third act, at which point we're too much involved in the story's tension to bother quibbling over it. Sophia Loren actually has top billing over Peppard, though her role is relatively brief and not the kind I was expecting. And the rest of the cast is full of well-known veteran actors: Paul Henry, John Mills, Trevor Howard, Richard Todd, Tom Courtenay, Anthony Quayle. War movie number 2 is The Silent Enemy from 1958. This movie stars Lawrence Harvey and covers an unfamiliar part of the war for me. The Italians started using special underwater transportation to sneak up on Allied ships in the Mediterranean and attach mines to them. Harvey, as explosives expert Lieutenant Lionel Crabb, and his tiny team of divers are supposed to disable these mines, which are set faster than they can find them. The severe undermanned condition of the team is a big problem, as is the mystery of how the Italians are able to sneak up on the ships. It was an interesting movie. I'm not a Lawrence Harvey fan. He was a capable actor, but I tend to find him a little on the dull side. However, here he was very engaging and full of personality. The movie also had a fun supporting performance by Sidney James. War movie number 3 is Wake Island from 1942. Brian Donlevy plays a Marine officer sent to take command of a small group of men on Wake Island just days before the attack on Pearl Harbor. A strict disciplinarian, he faces backlash from both the lax, disinterested Marines and the civilian construction crew working on the island. However, all these little problems dissolve into nothing when Pearl is attacked, the US declares war, and the threat of Japanese invasion appears on the horizon. I would have enjoyed this more if it didn't spend a lot of time, not just in the first half, but all the way through, on the comedic subplot between William Bendix and Robert Preston. Personally, I found the constant ragging and fighting and tough guy one-upmanship between these two passive-aggressive buddies pretty annoying. Also, the movie has a lot of inconsistencies with the truth, partly because it was made only months after the events depicted, when few of the facts were known. So, if you want to know the full story of the Marines taking a stand at Wake Island and the aftermath, research elsewhere. But if you want a brief cinematic overview and don't mind a heavy dose of comic relief, well, this isn't a bad start. And war movie number 4 is The Eagle Has Landed from 1976. This movie stars Michael Caine, Donald Sutherland, and Robert Duvall as 3 men, 2 of them Germans, 1 allied with the Germans, involved in a half-baked plot to kidnap Winston Churchill. Other notables in the cast are Donald Pleasance, Anthony Quayle, Treat Williams, Judy Geeson, who I knew but didn't realize where from, To Sir With Love, and Jean Marsh, who I knew but didn't realize where from, Return to Oz. Oh, and John Standing, who I know but still haven't figured out where from. This was an entertaining movie. The story had some neat twists, the script had some quirky humor, but was never a comedy, and some humorously frustrating moments, especially whenever Larry Hagman, as a completely inept American colonel, was on screen. The movie might have been a little long and taken a while to get going, but once the ball was rolling, I enjoyed it, and it was interesting to see these three stars, Kane, Sutherland, and Duvall, working together and essentially playing the enemy. Okay, now for the second half of the list, moving on from the war movies, we saw Captain Phillips, the 2013 film about the 2009 incident in which Somali pirates hijacked an American cargo ship. Tom Hanks stars and delivers an excellent performance, as usual. I found this movie incredibly stressful, but in a good way. I liked it. Something about the steady, step-by-step, no-frills way the story was told made it feel very realistic, and somehow made the situation even more intense. Mom and I saw Split, the latest M. Night Shyamalan film about three teenage girls abducted by a man who has multiple personalities. Okay, if you want a quick rundown on my stance on some M. Night Shyamalan movies, here you go. Seen The Sixth Sense a couple times, unfortunately already knew the twist before I saw it. It's alright, but I don't think it really has great staying power. Seen Signs many times, I know it has a humongous plot hole and some beyond quirky writing and acting, but I enjoy it anyway, and the aliens still freak me out. Seen The Village several times, it's weird, but I do like it. I don't like the twist, but I'm able to enjoy repeat viewings of the movie in spite of that. It's got some nice violin music too. Seen about half of The Happening. Ugh, awful. Saw about 10 minutes of After Earth. Didn't like that and decided not to see any of the other Shyamalan movies that people widely consider to be terrible. And last year I saw The Visit. Thought it was well made, but incredibly disturbing. It stayed with me for days, but in a horribly unpleasant way. It's one of those movies where you say, I acknowledge that it more than accomplished its goal of making me feel very uncomfortable, but I never want to see it again, thank you very much. As for Split, I don't really know yet how I felt about it. It was creepy, well made, an unusual concept, well executed, with a remarkable performance by James McAvoy, who was especially convincing and unnerving as Hedwig, an 8-year-old boy, and the main girl, Casey, played by Anya Taylor-Joy, was a compelling protagonist, the weird misfit in the group of girls who displays tremendous strength and courage in the face of fear. But I did feel a little underwhelmed in the last act, maybe because things didn't pan out quite as I'd been expecting, and then that final shot was tricky. It kinda does the 10 Cloverfield Lane thing, where it throws a reference to a previous movie in at the end, with the assumption that the audience has seen that previous movie and will understand the connection. I did get the reference, though I haven't actually seen the movie in question, and I'm sure there were plenty of confused people who didn't get it. I feel Split's ending would have been stronger if there hadn't been this last-minute distraction thrown in there, which took away from the movie I'd just seen because suddenly the surprise twist was all I was thinking about. Now, I do know that Shyamalan was setting up his own in-movie cinematic universe, and there's a sequel in the works that will tie the two movies together, but I still feel this may have undermined Split's effectiveness as a standalone movie. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents. As far as I'm concerned, the jury's still out on this one. Ask me a year from now how I feel about it. Mom and I watched 2014's Into the Storm. I wasn't actually interested in seeing this one, but A, it's got Richard Armitage in it, woo woo! And B, it's a natural disaster movie, and my mom is a big fan of those. She'll stop and watch Twister if it's on TV, even though we own it, and I'm sure if they aired Night of the Twisters on TV, she'd tune into that too. We used to watch that a lot when I was younger. I wonder what happened to it. Anyway, as a disaster movie, this was passable. Nothing special, sufficient characters, story, and special effects, some silly teenager behavior, but not overwhelmingly obnoxious. It had a couple jump-the-shark moments, namely a fire tornado, which strangely occurred in the middle of the movie, not in the climax. And the last movie I saw last month was Willard. The 1971 film about Willard, an awkward guy harassed by his ailing mother, played by Elsa Lanchester, and publicly bullied and humiliated by his boss, played by Ernest Borgnine. Willard befriends a small group of rats, and in return for his friendship, these cunning rodents go to work wreaking vengeance on his enemies. Bruce Davison, who I've only ever seen as a middle-aged man, is young and super gawky here as Willard. I felt sorry for the character, and yet I couldn't always root for him. And as awkward as he is, not like everyone else in the movie is 100% normal either. Everyone and everything is a little offbeat right from the start, and it just gets progressively more bizarre and disturbing. They made a sequel the next year titled Ben, with a famous theme song sung by Michael Jackson, and we've got that on deck, so I'll probably be talking about that next month. Okay, that's it for October. I hope you enjoyed the list, and I'll see you in a few days. Thanks for watching. Bye!